you hear a lot. You don't hear a lot of times, but I am going to be the person who's going to get in the soapbox to say that, and that's about the developer experience, right? You're asking your developers a lot of times to be able to do a lot of context switching between the type of client that they're working with, and then if so and so like our internal folks have it this way, and they have this language, or they have these approaches, and maybe the tool name is a little bit different. Just those different types of experiences from a developer perspective makes that product development process a lot harder, because then you're asking the developer to say, okay, when you build this and it goes to prod, you may have to do 2 different deploys, and there's 2 different run books, and then there's 2 different disaster recovery strategies, and it starts to compile on top of itself, and a lot of times you don't hear that because they just get it done and they do an excellent job at it. But that experience is still there, because then when you try to onboard a new developer, you're like, well, they'll ask a question, well, why do we do it this way? Oh, it's always been done this way. Everything has 2 of everything. And that experience is just not the best,
Welcome to the Product Agility Podcast, the missing link between Agile and product. The purpose of this podcast is to share practical tips, strategies, and stories from world-class thought leaders and practitioners. Why, I hear you ask? Well, I want to increase your knowledge and your motivation to experiment, so that together we can create ever more successful products. My name is Ben Maynard, and I'm your host. What has driven me for the last decade to bridge the gap between agility and product is a deep-rooted belief that people and products evolving together can achieve mutual excellence.
And in this episode, we are joined once again by CP Richardson for his final, for now, episode. In this episode, we talk about how context switching is just so detrimental to our lives and our colleagues' lives. We talk about how having courage and really going for transparency from current and potential customers can really unlock a huge amount of success when it comes to the products that we are creating, not only in current markets, but maybe in target markets too. We also spend some time looking at CP's life in his job and how the platform that he works on, ArcXP, has gone from being an internal collection of tools to being a real market-leading platform. So before we begin and you get these valuable insights and learn something new from, well, probably CP more than me, if I'm honest with you in this one, I wanted to take a moment to ask you that favour that I've been asking for a while now, which is, please, if you love this episode, or even if you just like it a little bit, recommend it to a friend. The more people listen, the more interesting and exciting and guests I can entice on. So without any further ado, let's begin the episode.
Hello and welcome everyone. Me and Chris CP Richardson are back in the studio, virtual studio, talking about who we would impersonate if we could impersonate anyone in the world. And CP's choice was was actually quite brilliant, and something which I think most people would probably want to do the same, because Barack Obama, it would be an awesome person to be able to impersonate. Second only probably to my choice, which was Macho Man Randy Savage. But
Never to Slim Jim, baby. Never to Slim Jim.
Yeah. So I thought obliged to mention that, just to let everyone know why perhaps I'm feeling slightly more jovial and I've got a big smile on my face because we've been having fun.
I know, right? It's so foreign. So foreign.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right. So we are going to be talking. The other time round, we spoke about facilitation and don't be libelous, and about Capital One. That's the last episode. And this episode, we're going to talk about Arc. Is there like a hand gesture you can do for XP?
I've been trying to come up with one about ArcXP. I haven't gotten one yet, but I like what you're doing, so we'll put that on the floor. We'll see what happens. It probably will be on the cutting room floor, but
well, you never know. You never know. I may not look it. CP, but I'm a trendsetter.
Hey, you know what? There you go, man. You're the one with the podcast. There you go.
I can trendsetter. Right. Showing my age, mate, saying words like trendsetter. It's like come out and say, I think
you got to that point when you started with Macho Man, so I think we're already past that.
That is true. That is true. I forget I'm no longer 8 years old. And I forget that it's no longer SummerSlam 88 or whatever it was, WrestleMania. Yeah.
Good
Those,
times.
oh God,
See,
they were.
I nope, because I guess we start talking about wrestling. I'll start
So,
talking about The Rock, and it's
yeah,
just continue.
yeah. So Arc XP.
Talk XP, yes.
Tell me and the listeners a little bit about, because when you spoke about it before, you spoke with such passion. No, I say that sarcastically. No, like I could tell that you loved it, and we spoke about it before the first episode. I could tell that you love. I know, was it working there or the product, but something about it that you love. So tell us a bit more about Arc XP,
Yeah.
CP,
Yeah. So,
please.
for those who haven't listened, I will try to make a nice little button-up statement. So, ArcXP, the cloud-native digital experience platform that helps enterprises and companies and brands and media organizations distribute content, drive digital commerce, and deliver powerful multi-channel experiences. Again, all of that to say is that we are a really cool CMS tool platform, but not just with content management, but also with your commerce experience and other different types of experiences that we can build based off the customer need to help create the experience that you want for your site, for your customer base, and other different experiences from there. And as I mentioned in the previous episode, a great example of something unique and different that we've built was SweetExchange.com, which is for the Golden State Warriors, which is a project that I got to work on. And I will continue to say, as I said in the last episode, I'm still waiting on those sweet seats, Golden State. I will really love some. If not, that's totally okay. I saw you out there palling around with the president of the United States after you won your championship. I'm just saying, I just want courtside. I don't even need a suite. I just want courtside seats. But yeah, no, it's such a cool experience, such a cool tool, and the different clients I got to work with, the different experiences we got to build has just been fantastic and such a great experience thus far.
What I then found very interesting about this was that not like, how well you were able just to keep all those words in your memory and repeat it on 2 episodes back to back. I mean, it's something to behold.
It's like I have it ingrained naturally.
I know.
It's crazy. Like it's just like on a snap, digital experience platforms. That's right in my regular vocabulary.
Yeah, if you could bottle that, millions.
Sure.
But what I found really interesting, and actually, do you know what? It was thinking about this idea that you developed, and in your organization, you developed an internal product which you used for its own purposes, and then you used it, and then you flipped it into effectively a platform for other people to use. So you embraced. Well, you didn't embrace. That means that would imply that you consciously chose to do this. But what I love about that is that you used it before you said, let's get other people to reuse it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the problems that people often have is that they think about the reuse before they think about the use. And they think, well, this would be great. Everyone would love to use this. Let's get it out there as a product or a platform, when they don't actually use it themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I think actually kind of eating your own dog food in that respect, using it and then say, do you know what? Yeah, we've ironed stuff out, ironed out the bugs, and we've got our own little internal thing here. And now we're going to flip it and other people use it. You had a solid thing from which to build upon.
Mm-hmm.
But my first question then is, when it was being built internally in the first instance, were you calling it a product or a platform at that point in time?
At that point, it was really more of a platform, right? It was a tool for a toolbox to help the Washington Post be able to create that experience and create that site, right? It was it was that experience that not just with the folks on the development side, right? But we think about like Pulitzer Prize winning journalists that were using this tool and making sure that the experience that they're trying to share fits what they're like the story that they're trying to write, right? So like even if it's from as I'm composing it, as I'm like as a journalist putting together the story after like do my interviews, working with my editor, putting all these different pieces together, I still need to write a compelling story, but also I need to be able to show and be able to like have like the right experience for the people who are reading it, right? So it was really focused on just a platform tool for folks, right, to be able to like share those experiences. It wasn't until later in the if I'm not mistaken, in the late 2010s that they started to say like, oh, hey, this is something that potentially clients would like, potential other folks and clients want to use. And one of the cool stories about ArcXP is that at the time, Arc Publishing, it was actually to get feedback was actually given to college newspapers for them to use, and they give that
Nice.
type of feedback, right? Where it's hey, here is something that we think is really helpful. Help us build our tool. Help us build our platform to be able to say, okay, what is the exact experience that you would like to see? What changes do you would like to make? Because again, think about this: is that you're still trying to figure out market fit, right? You're starting to figure out is something that's helpful. And what better way to get that is by giving that stuff to free college students to use, because they will tell you in a heartbeat what you like, what they like, and what they don't like. So yeah.
No, it's a very well. I'm just googling something because there's this fantastic tool called the Confidence Wheel. Have you heard of this?
Mm-mm.
By a guy called Itamar Gilad. And I think it's brilliant. And I'm kind of slowly trying to convince Itamar to come on the podcast because I think that some of his work is just fantastic. And what you're explaining there is just so nice to hear, that you were building something and you wanted to improve it. So rather than going by like gut feel or, oh, look, everyone else over there is doing it, or gut feel and, oh, and we can come up with a plan to deliver it. You know, you actually went off and you increased your confidence by getting it used by real people who are doing maybe not exactly the same kind of stuff as a Pulitzer Prize winning journalist is doing, but very similar at that probably core use case. You know, and I think that is such a fantastic way to really build up your confidence, because you know, when you look at the confidence wheel, it talks about, you know, your highest levels of confidence come from MVTs, beta testing, etc. I mean, getting real people to use it and give you real feedback. And I think that is, you know, that must have been so rich from understanding where to focus, where not to focus, and what to change.
Yeah, and it and it's kind of, and it brings it back to, especially when you think of, because with this episode, you think about product development and like the approaches for your tools, right? I think a lot of organizations, again, this is CP's opinion, and by no way like the standard that anybody should use, but like this is just how I approach thinking, is that the sooner you can get those things into hands of potential customers, even if it's just tell us the good and bad and the ugly. Find those people that you would trust in your environment. Find that circle. Find that where your potential market fit is, and just ask them, like, "Hey, break it down for us. If it's crap, tell us, right? Because that's the only way that we're going to improve that, right?" And
Yeah.
through those experiences, through those conversations that we had with our early client base, and even with our newer clients today, tell us what you like, tell us what you don't like, because if you're able to show transparency in your product and showing that, hey, we are willing to improve based off your suggestions, and showing that you're not just a client that's on our roadmap and this is what it is, and then you'll get it when you get it. Nah. If you're able to actually show like, no, we are working in tandem together, I think, and this is again my hope and my desires and my dreams, is that you're going to start to build that client trust. You're going to start to build that confidence in your product, because you know you're putting out the right things. Again, if you're able to do that and be okay, be comfortable sometimes getting feedback that you may not like, but that's helping you determine whether there's market fit or not for your product.
Yeah, you need to be able to take the feedback and filter it accordingly. But you know, when it's your baby and you're getting that terrible feedback as a product person, it's hard to take, and it takes a certain level of is the word disambiguation, a certain level of distance to be created between your emotions and the things you really want versus maybe what some of the data is telling you. But at the same time, also then knowing when to go with that gut feel and say, do you know what? Stop the data. Actually, I think this is a goer. You know, maybe it works out. And they're difficult things to balance. And so when you're in this situation then where you're using it internally, but it's also going out to external people, do you find, or have you as an organization found that you've got internal requests for changes to the platform, but then also customers coming in asking for changes? How are you managing that, those relationships and that kind of demand management, as it were?
Right. No. So that's a really good question, right? Because you're always like ever balancing those different changes, right? So as again, at the time, ARC Publishing is growing, it's finding that market fit. We're finding like clients, we're getting those leads, we're making those conversions, we're getting those contractual agreements. Again, there's the Washington Post's need too for these different experiences. And over time, there was a concerted decision of, hey, let's split and have like a nice little break point and have Washington Post have their own version, which they call it. I forgot the name of it for the life of me, and I'm probably going to get slapped by my Washington Post colleagues. You're like, you should know what this is. But they have their own version of ARC, right? And now we actually focus solely on clients' needs, client development, things of that nature, because again, those differences in those experiences are vast. Especially from especially from a storytelling perspective, right? Of like, what is the experience that we want our clients to see or to experience? Because even then, even with all that, with the very diverse client base, right? Everybody has a different type of need, from your commerce clients to just your pure publishing platforms to folks who are doing video and broadcast and stuff too. Like, those are three vastly different environments and markets that we are trying our best and doing, I would like to say, doing a good job of being able to balance. Again, there are challenges with any product, right? But I think we do an excellent job listening to our customer base and making those changes. But I don't think that would be possible if that split hadn't happened, because then you're starting to like, how do I prioritize the Post's experience versus, let's say, another client of ours? This is just really difficult to do.
I think it's one of those. And I'm always interested when I'm talking to companies, organizations around platform and product, and what is a platform, what's a product, and how does it all work. And they're saying, we're going to take this part of the product, or this product, and we're going to open it up. I'm like, okay, how are you going to balance then the internal needs versus external needs? And that can't be easy. I'm like, yeah, but you can't. But will it be? Because if it comes down to biting the hand that feeds you, are you really going to be? We've got a fantastic opportunity here, which is going to take us so far away actually from what they want here. But we're trying to keep it all the same, all as one. But actually, and that's a very hard decision to make. And then if you can technically try and solve that problem, but you still got the human problem of the prioritization and everything else. So almost, I think sometimes creating that clear delineation and having that firewall. Clear firewall, or what's it saying? They used to call that. I think they maybe incorrectly call it Chinese walls or something. But you have to have a firm break between certain parts of the organisation where nothing was ever passed.
Though I may not. I know what you're talking about, because I can't think of it either. However, they kind of build upon that, and just like that, my thoughts gone. Because it was about. Geez. This is about this. I've lost it. Gosh darn it. I'm sure I'll remember it here in a few minutes. But yeah.
It happens. It happens to us all.
Yeah, you can tell them getting old. That's what happens. You can tell them getting old.
No, so we were saying that it's having that contention between then internal users, internal people wanting changes to your product, and external then companies, other people wanting changes to it too. And how do you balance those needs? And then you've got the other kind of what I call middle users of it, who are in between.
Got it.
That as well.
Yep.
Has that helped?
Yeah, no, it does, because I know exactly what I'm talking about. But not only from our product development experience, one of the things that you hear a lot, you don't hear a lot of times, but I am going to be the person who's going to get in the soapbox to say that, and that's about the developer experience, right? You're asking your developers a lot of times to be able to do a lot of context switching between the type of client that they're working with. Because let's say one of our clients, Morningstar, has a very unique experience, right? But how do you then try this is when everything is still together, right? Because that's not what we do today. But if you're in a scenario where, regardless of whatever your organization is, you're trying to keep those two experiences together, you're asking your development team to do a lot of context switching. And then so-and-so our internal folks have it this way, and they have this language, or they have these approaches, and maybe the tool name is a little bit different. So instead of calling it Compose, we call it white notes for or like notepad for your clients. Like just those different types of experiences from a developer perspective makes that product development process a lot harder, because then you're asking the developers to say, okay, when you build this and it goes to prod, you may have to do two different deploys, where there's a client deploy and then there's an internal deploy, and there's two different run books, and then there's two different disaster recovery strategies, and it starts to compile on top of itself, and a lot of times you don't hear that because they just get it done and they do an excellent job at it, but that experience is still there. Because then when you try to onboard a new developer, you're like, well, they'll ask the question, well, why do we do it this way? Oh, it's always been done this way. Everything has two of everything, and that experience is just not the best,
Right. I mean, it ripples out. And I think this is why it's impossible to, it's not impossible. I think it's really unwise to disentangle product from Agile Software Manifesto from the users, and trying to disentangle that and say, oh no, if it's clear, this is it just doesn't work, because you end up in that situation that you explained. And I think that Conway's Law, the idea that our communication structure is kind of our organization structure, which is our software architecture. I haven't heard about Conway's Law being applied to products that often.
Yep.
In the product world, but it just further compounds the issue, which is it makes making those semantic changes, or getting that semantic alignment between calling it Notepad and Scribe or whatever else, Compose. Getting that semantic homogenization, that alignment, that it becomes incredibly difficult. And in those situations where it was an internal product or internal platform, and you're then spinning out into something else, then the issue is, it was in your own organization, the communication lines were hard enough. If you were just having an external facing organization and you were deciding, what do we call this so that it makes sense to all of our vast array of customers, that's hard enough. Trying to then say, an internal organization who want things their way, but still feel that they own it and help develop it, and then trying to find it with something that you can sell and market, then all of that is
it just creates that friction, and it's so difficult for folks to overcome, right? Because you don't want to make, in the effort to make everybody happy, nobody's happy.
No one.
Not a person's happy, right? And sometimes you just have to say, like, okay, somebody's going to end up with a short stick. That's just how it is, especially in product development. And the question is it your internal folks, or is it your clients? I venture to say that you probably don't want your clients to be upset. So
no, but then do you know what, Chris? I would like to carry on this conversation in more depth, and I don't know, maybe something we can talk about offline about how we carry it on, because this is a tasty conversation. I mean, I enjoy the last one, but I'm enjoying this too, but I'm keeping an eye on the clock, and unfortunately we're gonna have to bring it to a close, because without wanting to pop the illusion of a podcast, I am also a father.
You have the school pickup to do, so yes.
Which I love. I do this so that I can spend more time. Well, I did a podcast because I'm an old man who's a hobby. But I run my own business because I like spending time with my kids. That's awesome. I've got to go and pick them up from their after school club. But CP, it's been. I thought it was going to be fun, but I've had an absolute whale of a time. So thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
And same here, my friend. We have to do this again. If not, whether it's podcast, even if it's us catching up, because hopefully, knock on wood, I'll be, because I'm in grad school right now and we're doing a study abroad program, and I will be in the UK, somewhere in the UK over the summer, or if not in France. So I will find my way and we will have a proper drink, and some fish and chips. I know, so quintessential, right? That's literally other than Premier League football, that is my extent of English culture. So I need to get my life together.
Mate, come on over, and you know what? I mean, fish and chips is fish and chips is all right, but mate, I'm all about the battered sausage.
Yes. Ooh, that sounds delicious.
And one of the battered sausage. And there are some dirty English things you can buy from a fish and chip shop, man. I can introduce you to them all. But
I like it.
Let's wrap this up.
Absolutely.
CP, thank you so much, man. Thank you everybody for listening, and I would hope that me and CP can have a chat and we'll get him back on to kind of go a bit deeper on ArcXP. So
again, trademark, right?
Yeah, there you go. One day I'll release that video and everyone will think, "Oh my god, what a strange old man." Thank you very much, sir. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you.
CP Richardson, in my opinion, is a very rare unicorn. Not one of those common unicorns you find so haphazardly scattered around the streets of the UK. Oh no, he's a rare one. So rare, in fact, that we're going to get him back. Him and Jenny Sarja will be joining us in a month or two's time to go deep on how ArcXP work and how it came into life. If it wasn't for Jeff Bezos, ArcXP wouldn't exist. And we get the inside track on how this collection of tools that works so well internally became its own independent platform. For that valuable conversation, those unique insights from the ground in ArcXP of how Jeff Bezos bought the Washington Post and saw potential in this product, make sure that you stay tuned, you subscribe and follow us on the social media platform of choice so you don't miss those episodes. Anyway, thank you once again. My name is Ben Maynard and this is the Product Agility Podcast.